Before we start, I'd like to thank our bronze sponsors, FL Smide, Flat Planet, and Lomar Logistics. Without these sponsors, the luncheon wouldn't be possible. Ladies and gentlemen, before going further, I'd just like to say a few words about our Master of Ceremonies today, our MC. A respected publication called Chambers Asia recently said of today's MC, and I quote, "Mining practice lead partner Leo Domingos is lauded as a cut above the rest for his high-profile presence and deep specialisation in the field," end quote. Leo is a frequent sight on a wide range of mining projects. And as Chamber Asia says, his friendly, cooperative manner is a great help in facilitating deals. Those of you who have been active in the Philippine mining industry may be familiar with Leo. The list of mining-related activities which Leo has been involved or led is long. In July 2010, Leo put a stop to his hectic legal career as a partner for Kisumbing Torres law firm, member of Barker McKenzie International, and head of its mining and infrastructure practice, mainly to focus on time with his family. When he's not busy with his family, Leo's trying to improve his golf handicap, as probably many of us are, or he's off-roading with his buddies in the Land Rover Club of the Philippines. Leo continues to be involved with the Philippine Australia Business Council, is consultant to several mining clients, and assists the Chamber of Mines Legal Committee. He has been providing legal support to Delia Domingo Albert, our former Secretary of Foreign Affairs, former Presidential Advisor on Minerals Development, and former Philippine Ambassador to Australia and Germany, in efforts to establish the Philippine Mining Museum in Baguio City. Leo is also involved with his friends at the Philippine Mine Safety and Environmental Association in efforts to strengthen and institutionalise the SNAP program for the PMSEA. Leo also holds a number of directorships in companies in the industry, as well as an independent directorship with Credit Suisse Securities Philippines. Leo is also a director of the Philippine affiliate for Resource Advisors. He headhunts hard to find mining professionals from around the world, many of them Filipino geologists and mining engineers, for employment with the mining companies operating in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me the pleasure to call on Leo Dominguez to be our MC for today's Philippine Mining Luncheon. Leo Dominguez.
Good afternoon. There's no truth to the rumor that I provided him with all the fabulous information about myself. Did you notice my nose grow an inch? Thanks, Kevin, for this invitation to be the MC of this inaugural luncheon of the Philippine Mining Luncheon Series. From Kevin's brief introduction of me, you may have noted that one of the hats I now wear, post-retirement as a 24/7 attorney with my firm, Kisumbing Torres, is that of a director of a Philippine affiliate of Resource Advisors. My partner in this venture, Graham Deegan, is not here today, but he certainly would appreciate my letting you know what Resource Advisors does. Essentially, it tries its level best to find, mainly from overseas, the mining professionals, geologists, metallurgists, mining engineers, etc., that mining companies in the Philippines very, very badly need. Though Graham's and my network here, through his network and mine here and abroad, we help bring back Filipino mining professionals, firstly, to get your projects moving, and this is what gratifies me personally, at the same time, reunite them with their families on a continuing basis in the Philippines, and give back to their country, as well as help grow our economy. So if you need any help looking for these hard-to-find mining professionals for your projects, just get in touch with me or Graham. We have a brochure that's on your table. So recently, Kevin came to see me personally to invite me to be your MC today. I, of course, like most Filipinos, I did what Filipinos normally do when meeting someone for the first time. And I asked him how long Kevin, had been here in the Philippines, what brought him here in the first place, etc. And one of the things Kevin said was that he had a brother already living here. And then something clicked in my brain, and I said, of course, you have to be the brother of Ian Lewis. I recognized the resemblance immediately. So Ian's here. So hello, Ian. I haven't seen him in 11 years. Yeah. We go back to the 90s when the Mining Act got passed and faced many challenges together getting the industry back on its feet. So welcome back, Ian. So going back to my conversation with Kevin, he explained to me what the Philippine Mining Luncheon would be all about. Kevin said that it would be a forum of discussion to enhance the profile of the Philippine minerals industry and highlight its contribution to growth and employment in the Philippine economy. So what would the luncheon events provide to the attendees? First, it would give access to key leaders in the minerals industry, both local and global. It would also provide an opportunity for attendees to listen to and engage with a select minerals industry leader who would present on topics ranging from industry development and trends, issues faced here and offshore, exploration, investment opportunities, expansions, and general mining topics. And who would the attendees be? You already know that. You're here. A broad range of people in business, not just other mining people, although I see a lot of you here, but also bankers, stockbrokers, people from government, investors, service providers, professionals, buyers, sellers, people who want to know what specific mining companies are doing in the Philippines, who they are, what they are about, and very importantly, how what they are doing translates to business and employment opportunities for others. How often will these luncheons be? They will be held on every even month. And if you don't know what that means February, I have to read myself, April, June, August, October, and December. So we're doing April, right? So the next one is in June. And how much will it cost you to attend the luncheon? This is the good news, gentlemen. Just the cost of the lunch. Membership is free, but there is membership. Just make sure to register with the organization as a member, and please inform Kevin and his organization days ahead of every luncheon that you are attending so that they know how many people will be served. Back in my house, we say, let us know how many are coming so we know how much water to put in the soup. The luncheon has a group of generous sponsors behind it. Thanks to the generous support of these sponsors, FL Schmidt, Flat Planet, and Lomar Logistics, surplus funds that are generated from event functions will go into underwriting industry scholarships through PAREEP, P-A-R-E-E-P, which is the Philippine Australian Resources Education Excellence Program. If you want to know how to become a sponsor and what the different types of sponsorships are, you can check the website or see Kevin, who can give you the details. From what Kevin has told me about the luncheon and from what I see is happening today, its events will not compete with but complement the activities of the industry that are already taking place. The annual mining conferences, workshops, advocacy activities, monthly membership meetings of the various mining groups and professional societies such as the PMEA, PMSEA, the Chamber of Mines, Society of Mining Engineers, Geological Society, etc. Some of which, though, might be too technical in nature for the non-mining person. The luncheon will provide a very different format, a very different venue for business people from many sectors to get together. In a relaxed, as you can see, I promise to take my tie off in a while, a relaxed and pleasant atmosphere, and learn about specific mining companies and how their specific projects contribute to the growth of the Philippine economy. Again, I believe that this luncheon is best for people who, for an easy 60 to 90 minutes over a delightful lunch, good value, I hope, want to know what specific mining companies are doing in the Philippines, who they are, what they are about, and very importantly, how what they are doing translates into business opportunities for you. I like what Kevin has said this luncheon is and will be about. I congratulate its organizers and sponsors for establishing another format for educating the business community about the Philippine mining industry and thereby contribute to enhancing its profile. I wish this luncheon well going forward. Enough said. Before getting this show on the road, let me confess, I really, really wanted to hear my friend Fernando speak about valet and meet up with many old friends, but I wanted to do it over a free lunch. It's important when you're retired. So the only way I could do that was to work a little. The next part of our program is a brief spot stock watch. The gentleman who will provide us with the spot stock watch. It's a tongue twister. Spot stock watch. Okay, now say that with me. He's someone who is a regular lecturer at seminars at the Ateneo Center for Continuing Education, the De La Salle Graduate School of Business, the University of Asia and the Pacific Strategic Business Economics Program, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Certified Securities Representative Program, and the Philippine Stock Exchange for their Certified Security Specialist Program. And he is an officer of First Metro Securities Brokerage Corporation in charge of acquiring new clients. So watch out. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me welcome Alexander Sandy Giles.
Thanks very much, Leo, Attorney Leo, and also thanks to Kevin. Here I go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to present a brief overview of the last 25 years of the Mining and Oil Index in hopes of getting clues as to where the sector is headed. Why indeed study what stock market investors are doing? Usually they are the last to learn what's going on. Usually they're the first to be confused about the news. And they're easily stampeded over a cliff. Why do we want to know what they think and what they do? It's because sometimes they are providers of capital. In that sense, we may want to get on their good side and to watch what they're doing in hopes of getting clues what they're about to do next. From 1987 to 1998, there were big bursts of excitement that ran into obstacles like apathy and opposition. Luckily, and there was a period of depression in about 1999 to 2003. Luckily, the trend is upwards from then on. If we focus on the period of 1987 to 2003, we see that there was some brief revivals, fluctuating lower and lower, and the sector practically became dormant in the latter years. But there was a strong recovery in 2004. Market forces somehow are trending upwards. And the year 2008 simply created an opportunity for people to buy in. Let's look at the latter years, the more recent years, and see where the trend is headed. Well, if present trends continue, this is what we're looking at. From 2000 level in the year 2005, the mining and oil index went up to 14,000 in 2011. That's phenomenal. And are investors pulling out? No, they're staying right there. They're staying put. And that tells you something. That tells you a lot. Now, this is simply an average number, and it averages the price charts of the member companies. Taking a look at Philex Mining, it seems that this chart tells you the old firm has somehow reawakened. Taking a look now at Oriental Peninsula, it's a young firm. It ran into some problems in the beginning, but seems to have recovered nicely. Taking a look at Apex Mining, active in Mindanao since 1970. Well, it has reawakened, dipped a little, but has recovered nicely. So investors are still supporting the sector and the stocks. Benguet Corporation since 1903 is recovering also in the stock price. For Nickel Asia, active in Surigao del Norte and Palawan, it's a young firm on its way up. So there. And overall, the index has had a very good run in the last 5 years, but is beaten hands down by the mining and oil index, which went up 107% over the last 3 years and 326% over the last 5 years. So the general theme is that the going may be difficult because of savage misunderstanding and misperceptions, but investors are piling into the sector and they may be prepared to do more, provided they understand better. This is the general trend, and the mood is hopeful, the sentiment is optimistic, and possibly it's also because the economy is predicted by all sectors to be moving up. Although privately I think that in terms of minerals exports, it may be more important to look at the Chinese economy or the other neighboring countries, the potential buyers. In terms of equity or portfolio investments, there may be money coming from Asia funds, excluding Japan, as well as emerging market funds who are putting more and more percentages of their stock investments into the Philippines. So it may be a good idea to explore, learn a little more about this sector in hopes of finding out what real direct equity investors might be doing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may I give the mic back to Leo.
Our main speaker today is a Brazilian geologist who has been working for Vale for the past 6 years. In Brazil, he was involved in Vale's iron oxide copper exploration projects. A few years ago, he moved to Australia where he obtained his master's degree in economic geology at the James Cook University in Queensland. Vale then assigned him to Western Australia, where he was involved in the pre-feasibility for the Kalgoorlie nickel laterite project of Vale. In November 2008, he moved to Manila, where he assumed the role of exploration manager of Vale Exploration Philippines. He currently oversees the copper-gold porphyry exploration projects of Vale and is, of course, looking for new opportunities in the country. In the meantime, our speaker and his Brazilian wife have given life to a son, who they've called Lucas, who was born in Manila on the 13th of May, 2009. Vale The name of our topic today is Vale, a global company in the Philippines. Vale is a diversified mining multinational corporation and one of the largest logistics operators in Brazil. In addition to being the second largest mining company in the world, Vale is also the largest producer of iron ore, pellets, and the second largest producer of nickel. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and join me to welcome our main speaker for today, the person you all came here to hear, Fernando Moya, Exploration Manager of Vale, Philippines.
Thanks, Leo, for... Oh, nice to see you again. Thanks for the lovely introduction. Very detailed, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I hope you're all enjoying the lunch. I believe there's still some room for more. So it's not a heavy meal. No, there's a lot of information, but I think it's going to go down smoothly and going to be easy to digest. Kevin, congratulations for the event. I think it's a large crowd. It's a good kickoff. Well, me to, for the inaugural presentation, and then I thought it was a great idea. Vale is it's one of the major mining companies in the world, and we are here for a few years. Not everybody know much about us, and when I moved here, people saying Vale. You got it right, Vale, not Vale. So Vale is a Brazilian mining company, and then we are in probably more than 30 countries, about 21, 22 in exploration. And then today, what I want to do is an institutional presentation, right? I added a few more slides. The idea is to level, the knowledge among yourselves and people, so people can learn more about Vale. All right. So to start, just take a quick look at the company. The company was state-owned, founded in 1942, so with a very high government influence. It started mainly with iron, had some gold mines, some aluminum, but it was state-owned from 1942 to 1997. And the main business was iron ore. In 1997, the company, the government, the former president, Fernando Henrique, decided to privatize the company. It was an easy process. There's a lot of concerns. So it was done. And we were listed in São Paulo Stock Exchange and New York Stock Exchange at that time. And last year, we just listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange, December last year. During this, the privatization was a transition from a state-owned to a private company, so you can imagine how easy it can be, right? So I think we're still, improving a lot. There's a lot of public, public company mentality, but it was a modernization process. It is not easy for a large company. And about 2001, the company realized how big it was in Brazil and the potential it had, and the idea was, well, should we go overseas? Should we diversify? We're going to take the risk. Otherwise, we're going to be taken over by someone. And they decide to go overseas, cross the boundaries, and invest. Of course, iron ore is the main business, so getting income, and then we can invest in other commodities. During 2001 to 2010 was accelerated growth. So it's a very aggressive targets, focused on a profit and value creation. We had a new organizational structure. I think I can tell like every year we had like 2 changes. We're still getting there with a better defined governance, focus on a strategic position to be a global mining, one of the large mining company, and we had to increase the portfolio. To become one of the large mining company, you need to deal with the multi commodities. And 2010, we are one of the best mining companies and the largest mining companies in the world. So, and the idea is to continue. The strategy is to continue the implementation of the largest portfolio and to become the best and largest and most sustainable mining company in the world. So here's a snapshot, where we were in 1997. So we see a few countries: Brazil, U.S. We have a pretty much office there. Operations only in Brazil. The mine sites, exploration, logistics, everything. And you see in East Asia here, China and Japan, which were our clients. And we also have some joint ventures with the Japanese companies on steel plants in Brazil. This 1997. Well, here's about 10,000, 11,000 employees, including third parties. 2011, we are now a global company, definitely a global company with 120,000 employees, including contractors and permanent third parties. Well, you can see here in South America, almost in all countries, with various offices. The head office is in Brazil, is in Rio. And then we have Carajás. Probably most of you or some of you heard about Carajás. Carajás is a multi-commodity mineral province, where our largest iron reserves are. About 20 billion, reserves at 55, 60% iron. Yeah, so just for let you know, those who are into mining, our cutoff it's about 55% in the mines in Carajás, and it's hematite, not magnetite. But we are Argentina for potash and copper, Chile definitely for copper, Peru copper, Colombia. There's we recently bought coal mine and also looking for copper if there's any potential. Canada is mainly nickel and copper. U.S. Copper, uranium. Uranium is not looking into that, but I still have a project there, if I'm not mistaken. In Europe, Norway, we have in France, we have refineries, but we have a commercial office in UK. Africa, mostly exploration projects. We just got into a huge project in Guinea, Liberia, in Guinea. Now it's iron. Some people said that we found another Carajás over there. We are in DRC, in Zambia, obviously for copper. Mozambique, coal operation. So, commissioning, going to start soon. It's the first ever coal project developed from exploration to operation. Then we have some countries in what we call Eurasia for us, so Kazakhstan, Oman, where we are for nickel, mainly nickel sulfides, and Kazakhstan copper. India is in between, so I think it's in our division, it's Eurasia. And then in the Southeast Asia, or Australasia, we have Mongolia, China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, Australia. Yeah. Where we have commercial offices, exploration offices, and mines only in Australia, coal mines. So, yeah, it was really fast growth, and significant shareholder value creation. consolidated our position as the second largest mining company today. So if you see the market cap in 1997, and that was about 74 billion. This was when we were privatized. Okay, you see Rio Tinto with a 20-something $1 billion cap, BHP, Anglo, the three majors at that time. And it's interesting to see the graph is the bars here are aligned, but it's 100 times bigger. So for 30 billion, we're talking about 300 billion here. BHP now joined, merged with the Billiton, and it's still the first and a very, solid company. And the Valley, by March 23 this year, market cap was $165 billion. Okay, we already reached 180 billion, but we've never been the largest company. Just before the crisis, I think it was about 180 billion. And followed by Rio Tinto, Xstrata, Anglo American, also other very large companies. So since 2001 to now, we can have an idea about how strong was their performance. Now, in terms of revenue, from $4 billion in revenue 10 years ago to 46. It's a record in the history of the mining industry. So 2010 was an unbelievable year. Vale achieved best ever annual result, characterized by the all-time high figures for operating revenues, operating income, margin, cash generation, net earnings. And to have an idea about the breakdown to different business. So iron ore, of course, is the major, representing about 57% of our business in terms of revenue. Nickel, 8.3%. Fertilizers, now it's quite a new business for the company, and we're doing quite well and investing a lot in fertilizers. Copper, small, but that's the commodity we're really looking into. Logistics, Vale is now 3%. Vale is a major, is the largest logistic companies in Brazil, like Leo mentioned. Coal, is also part of our strategy, and others would include aluminum, manganese, steel making, and other business. Okay, so the outstanding production in 2010 that I just mentioned. Basically, we have increased the iron ore production in 30% from 2009 to 2010. Nickel, interestingly, reduced. I believe it's still let's say a reflex of the financial crisis, and the nickel price just collapsed. Stockpiles were pretty high, so I think the production was lower. But now with the nickel prices back on $27,000 per ton, and then increasing the demand increasing, I believe 2011 we're gonna have an increase on that. Copper, still a small business for the company, but has also increased. We have basically one mine in Brazil, Sossego mine, with 250 million tons at 1% plus, and as operation in Chile. And coal, also a new area, relatively new area for us, but we continue to expand and increase the production. So numbers are not so high, but the increase was about 27%. Here, just a photo of Carajás mine. It's not only one mine; it's about 7 pits. Now they are connected. That's the whole operation. So this is in the Amazon in Brazil. For your idea, this is 1K. Increasing in terms of investment. This histogram can show in the last 6 years about $80 billion invested. Now, this includes including acquisitions. So here in 2006, that's when we acquired Inco, the international nickel company. It's a Canadian company. Was a great deal. Was a perfect timing. And then Vale became the second largest mining company. But basically, then of course 2007 reduced a bit, and then we are back on 2010 with about $20 billion invested. Now this includes acquisition, projects, support to continue our operations, expansions. So for 2011, the budget approved was 24 billion investment. So, and then by category, it's about 80% on organic growth, which are projects, exploration, advanced exploration, feasibility. Also may include some small acquisitions in that part. Right. And 8% on research and development. Okay, so pardon. The projects here doesn't include exploration. The exploration is on the R&D. The explorations and technology. The projects here, 73%, is basically to expand the operations and continue. And 18% is not just to keep the operations running. If you go by area, 42% are bulk materials, so mainly iron and coal, as are the investments. Logistics, about 20% we're going to invest. We're building 12, we call China Max. It's huge vessels for 400,000 tons. And we also, being in the Philippines, we're quite far from Brazil. Sometimes I read the newspaper before the news comes through email. So there's a new port facility to be built in Malaysia. It's going to cost about $4 billion. Yeah. Base metals, include nickel and copper. So we are really hungry for that. Fertilizers is a great business. The income on the revenue is not so high, but the profit, the margin you get on fertilizer is huge. It's a much better business than copper, for instance. And fertilizers now is basically for agriculture. With a population of 6 billion people, we need to feed them. So that's a strategy of that. Power generation, mainly in Brazil, but we're going to expand that and other business. Okay, so Vale is one of the largest mining companies in the world. Okay, based on the Financial Times, the FT 500 ranking. So we've seen 2002, we were privatized, but we are still crawling in the international scenario. But 2002, we just started living in Brazil, number 446, and come 2003, 4 going up. By 2006, when we took over Inco, we're 117 in the world, and then just kept growing, and by end of last month, we just announced that we are number 18th. Our strategy, as I mentioned, of course, was to leave Brazil, become a multinational company, but also diversify the portfolio. Now, from now on, that's the main business we have. So iron ore, the idea is to expand the operations in Brazil, implement the deposits in Africa, the operations in Africa. Logistics, still expand internally, and also building the vessels and port facilities around the world, so we can deliver the iron, and we have our own distribution centers. Nickel, we want to be the largest nickel player, so we are expanding in Canada. We have a world-class deposit in Goro, New Caledonia. It's under construction. I think a few months. I believe in this year we're going to start in production. It's about 60,000 tons per year of copper, metric tons of nickel, and about 5,000 metric tons of cobalt. Fertilizers, as I mentioned, it's Vale is really interested about that. Made some acquisitions last year, and we are doing a lot of exploration and expanding the plants on fertilizers. Coal is also a key business for us. So we can, for example, as you see, we were an iron ore mining company, and then you just provide iron ore for your clients. Let's say China, Japan, Korea. But why not? To make it steel, you need iron, you need manganese, you need nickel, you need coal. So why not provide everything? So it's linked to that idea. Copper, we have our our main, I would say, our main wish. We really want to get into copper. So that's why we're here in the Philippines. So we have a lot of projects in copper. There are 2 large projects in copper in Brazil under construction, but and Chile is hard to get in. Peru, so Africa sounds. The projects are doing quite well. Steel making. This is one of the wishes of the government, and also, ours, to invest more in Brazil. Actually, to not only sell ore to the others, but to invest in industry in Brazil. So there are several steel plants, JVs with Japanese companies or Korean companies, or even with Brazilian company investing in that. In energy, Vale has its own hydro plants in Brazil to provide its own power. And energy is going to be always going to be an issue. So we need to expand and make sure you have energy. So if break down the guidelines for each business. So basically, the iron ore is to maintain our leadership, in the global iron market, and create additional demand. Of course, because we have a lot of resources, we want to expand. So we need to create additional demand. Attracting steel partners to invest in Brazil is one of the strategies. And then enhance our logistics capacity. For nickel, we want to be number 1. So we need to expand the plants, implement some projects in Canada. Also, some world-class nickel laterite projects in Brazil. Copper, so developing our copper resources in Brazil. There are a few projects under two large projects under construction. But also look in Chile, and there are some advanced projects in Africa, Zambia and Congo. And of course, continued exploration in rich countries. Coal is look for various opportunities to become one of the larger players in this business. And potash, investing to become a larger producer of fertilizers, in order to benefit from rising global consumption. Energy, to optimize our matrix, and develop energy projects to support the growth of our business. So we are also looking to power plants beside our operations, in other countries. Okay, in terms of corporate social responsibility, you can see large numbers. So that's the investment in CSR, which includes, of course, social and environment. So the average 2007, 2009 is about 700 million. So for each of these 3 years, and jumped to over $1 billion in 2010, and 2011. The budget approved is about $1.2 billion. Okay. This is, of course, intended to support operations. We have, I don't know how many projects, so several projects in construction, being under commission. So it's the bulk of the investment is. But in exploration, we also need to invest, but needs to be proportional to the level of your project. People see this, gonna a lot of money. So of course it's the project. Imagine the projects in Brazil, Canada, that I just mentioned to you, Goro project, we're still doing a lot of social projects and environmental projects there. So Vale wants to build strong, with the open relationship with the communities, and to succeed, to celebrate and share the success by creating jobs, educating and investing in the communities. So some examples, it's job creation and economic growth to the country, with a commitment to employ and train local workforces, environmental conservation initiatives. They will see a few slides ahead, some beautiful examples. All our mines are ISO 14001 certified. Social outreach programs, different projects. You see in the photos here, of course, about education, but also creating business opportunities for local communities. Education and cultural programs, and social investment activities. Here's an example of the Goro project in New Caledonia. So the photo, like it's bottom right, beautiful photo. It's a world-class nickel laterite deposit. Imagine the impact, don't say the impact, but imagine, it's the impact on the people's lives, the size of this project there, right? Small island. And one of the concerns of the community was about they were losing the dialect or the language. Okay, so basically, when you engage community from the very beginning, you start understanding their concerns. When you start doing exploration and construction and when you're going to start mining. And then this on the top right is just a photo of the guy collecting some words from the elders, to understand and to help the people, to preserve and to promote the so-called Kanak language. Yeah. And this initiative is an example of effective engagement with the local communities through the participation and expression of their cultural and linguistic heritage. Here's another example in Mozambique. It's a coal project that I mentioned. We are is under construction. I think it's going to start operation this year. This is an example about resettlement. So we're talking about 1,300 families, about 6,500 people. Okay, so with a family income with less than $100 a month. When the profile of the community, the people in the country is about 70% rural and 30% in the urban zones. So you can see on the top right, how are the houses before. That's some examples of the house that Vale was building for the community. In the center here, in the bottom, is the village still under construction, and on the left side, the hospital, the Mines Institute, and the orphanage. So this is just a few examples that, Still on social responsibility, we find vital, early community engagement, to engage the community from the very beginning. So when you start exploring. So we do engage the communities near and around the projects we are, since the exploration stage. So that we can understand, the social dynamics and the information they need, what are their concerns. We can educate and inform them what is exploration, what is mining. This is the main thing, actually. Living in the Philippines here for 2 years and working, I've traveled quite a lot. Went to the provinces, and you see, this is one of the major issues, And then, of course, there are some other concerns and myths, but to educate people, make them understand what is exploration, what's mine. Okay, how are we going to impact them here in exploration? How are we going to affect them, or how they can benefit from this? at this stage. You know, and we have to manage expectations. Need to manage expectations. The exploration project, you know, mining is gambling, right? It's a risky business. So, and the companies are willing to afford to invest a few $1 million to do exploration. But after 2 years, if you don't find what you like, what you want, just go away, right? So, you need to bring expectations down, and we'll lay on a solid foundation of trust and mutual respect to build for a possible next phase of the project. So you need to have a solid institutional relationship, starting with the LGUs. I mean, give an example in the Philippines, we need to deal with the local government and barangay council. They need to understand what you're doing, and of course, next step would be the people. Here an example of our engagement in Masbate. So I think in about 6 months, we probably reached more than 4,000 or 5,000 people listening to us in 6 months in 40-something barangays, 43 barangays. And this year, from December to February, another project in Panay, about 1,000 people have attended our talks, presentations. On environment, as a large company, you also need to respect the environment and have on our environmental responsibility. We do recognize as a large company, as a mining company, our operations does affect the environment, But to reduce our footprint, we continue looking for new ways or alternatives to preserve the balance between human progress and the natural environment, and actively educate and train people for environmental responsible action. So, examples of environmental action. So, of course, a responsible operation. Nowadays, with technology, it is possible to have a large operation and have everything controlled. Okay? Reforestation, definitely. Green-powered transportation. For example, Vale, it's use a lot of biomass fuel in its locomotives in Brazil. And responsible waste management. There's another example in southeastern Brazil, the state of Espírito Santo, where we maintain a natural reserve with approximately 220 square km, with a vast fauna and flora, various species. So since the reserve was created in 1970s, 96 new plant species have been discovered. This is the Carajás mineral complex. So these are talking about Amazon, in northern Brazil, in the state of Pará, where Vale operates the world's largest open pit iron ore. And the company is helping to protect nearly 8,000 square kilometers of the native forest in 5 conservation units. Another shot, protected rainforest is part of the Carajás mining complex. People love to compare things with Belgium. I don't think it's fair, but 1.3 billion hectares. But of course, Belgium is not a large country, it's a small country, but it's 1.3 million hectares. It's not small. In this particular reserve, it's about 2,000 species of plant make up the flora. It's about 22 hectares, 22,000 hectares in the area. 20,000 species of insects, spiders, mammals, and birds. So of course, there's we work together with institutions, universities. There's a lot of research being developed in these areas maintained by Vale. Here's an interesting sequence of slides. Okay, so please pay attention to this area here. Now, the yellow outline. This is the Carajás complex. That's what we call Carajás complex. This is a satellite image. This is a snapshot in 1975. So, as I said, the Carajás mineral province, or Carajás region, is one of the world's largest mining complex. Okay? So here, all green is forest, red roads, blue rivers. The white lines are municipal boundaries. And here white is basically urban areas. 1975, folks. 78. 75, 78. Grow a little bit along the roads here. 85, 10 years later. Okay, so of course, growing from the roads towards southwest. 1990, 15 years later, you see how the deforestation for urban zones or mainly farming. 20 years later, 1995, see all this pink, where's my mouse? All these pink areas, it's deforested, Here, still intact. 1999, growing. 2004. So, almost 30 years after, the forest preserved by Vale within Carajás remains intact. And you can even see the footprint of the mine. This is the area of Carajás, but the mine that you saw in that photo later with the 1K scale with 7 huge pits. You can't even see that. Here's some examples, well, if you see the photo on the right side before, you wouldn't even say that was a pit before, But that's how rehabilitation can work. Okay, so we see on the left, it's not a pleasant view, but it's a mining operation. This was taken in 2001. 3 years afterwards, if you drive by, you wouldn't even mention. Here's another mine, so you can see what can happen to the mine at the end, at the closure. Nice other example of a gold mine on the top left. Of course, the mining operation. Then the mine was finished on the bottom, on the top right. Of course, the water level just went up. To the left, start doing some revegetation, and about 4 years later, you would drive by or go, and then you would just think it was a natural lake. This is another example. Of course, there's no water there, so. And this photo was taken 2005. I don't have the other one. Well, you can see how better it can look like, and continue reforestation. Here is for a waste pile. On the left, doing the operation, and then on the top right and bottom after reforestation and rehabilitation. So yeah, Vale is a global leader regarding sustainability and climate change management. So as a result of all these initiatives, we've been awarded, a lot of prizes from some Brazilian magazines and also international awards, like as a award leader among all mining companies in the climate change ranking of Goldman Sachs. GS Sustain Report. And also, we are proud to be top 5 of the most sustainable companies of the basic material sector. United Nations Global Compact. So in 2008, Sustainability Report recognized as a notable communication on progress. This is sustainability reporting recognition at Vale 2010. Also GRI award in 2010 for our corporate social responsibility initiatives. Logistics. Well, Vale is a major logistics operator in Brazil. In logistics is an important ingredient for our business, for Vale's success. In 2010, for instance, we accounted for 12% of the total Brazilian exports. Vale's, our goal is to transport 522 million tons a year of mineral products by 2015. We have invested about $9 billion worldwide in the last 6 years in logistics. This year, as I mentioned before, $4 billion just in this port facility in Malaysia, and there's $1 more billion in expansions in logistics and port terminals in Brazil. We own main ports in Brazil, Tubarão, in southeast to receive the ore from the mining operations in this part of the country. Ponta da Madeira is in the northeast, is from Carajás mainly, and Guaíba is not here, but is in the south. And then we participate in important economic sectors in Brazil that represent 40% of the gross of the GDP, 28% of the logistic market in Brazil, 16% of the total cargo in the country, and 30% handled in Brazil ports. So globally, again, investing in logistics. So from the mine to the port, everything is integrated in order to reduce costs. That's the main idea. So in Mozambique, when you're going to operate a coal mine, we are also investing in our runways and ports to transport about 11 million tons a year of production. In Guinea, the other project that I mentioned before with the iron ore, there's also railroads and ports facilities involved. In Asia, distribution centers, mainly to supply China and Japan, Korea. So we can transport our ore from Brazil to Southeast Asia, have a distribution to Malaysia in this case, have a distribution center, and then sell it to China. The reason for that is Vale is building these large vessels with 400,000 tons, and not any port can accommodate these vessels. Okay, there's only 2 ports in the world, I guess. So we need to build a port to accommodate these vessels, and then you would put in small ships and resell it. And in Brazil, invest more on railways and ports. So in this case, Argentina. So Vale carrying out large investments in logistics, has a concession to operate 750 km of railways, which links the potash mine in Mendoza. It's a recent mine, a recent project that we acquired last year. So just a quick look in the Philippines, what we're doing here. So I came to the Philippines in 2008. We had one project by then, so it's been 2 years. We have reviewed a lot of projects, and at the moment we have 3 exploration projects. So the first one we got into is the Masbate project. It's an exploration option agreement with GeoGrace. This was June 2008. It's a grassroots exploration, for copper gold. We did some initial exploration works. We had to put on hold in 2009 due to budget constraints. Because in the end of the day, we also were hit by the financial crisis. And then, of course, we were fighting for the exploration permit. It was granted recently, and we are just resuming the activities there. Then in 2010, last year, there's an option agreement with Royalco. This is a project in the North Benguet, about 15 km south of Mankayan, Lepanto. It's a target generation and drilling project. That's where we are now, and exploration is ongoing. We have been drilling. We have 2 rigs there. And the Panay project is our own, was our own application. Now it's our own EP. And in Panay, this island in Visayas, Iloilo province. So it's a grassroots exploration as well. So this year, I think we can generate targets fairly quickly. So hopefully be drilling this year too. So in the Philippines, Vale, I can say in behalf of the company that we are committed to social and environmental sustainability in all our activities here, and to assess, long-term investments in the country. Yeah, well, we all know that I think for this public here that we need resources, we need raw materials, right? And but not at any cost. Nowadays, 2011, for you to mine, you need to be responsible. This is not, this is serious. Okay, so this is serious. You cannot develop a large project without caring about the environment, without caring about the people. Even if you don't have a solid project, even the banks will not finance you. So for you to develop a project, you need the resources. You need to find the resources. You need to have the money to develop and get the technology. But you need to work on the social side and look after the environment. Okay, so just to finalize this, the message I want to pass, which is also the institutional campaign of the company, is that there is no future without mining. And there can be no mining without caring about the future. Thank you.
We have about 10 minutes from my notes. I see that we have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. While these microphones are being rounded up, I'd like to entertain the first questions for Fernando. Any questions? If there's no one yet who has formulated a question, I have a question for you. We have 3 projects that you have listed. I think many people here who are in the business of looking for opportunities with mining companies probably have in their minds the question, how far away is Vale from opening up a mine in the Philippines?
Excellent question. I don't know. Well, when you work in exploration, well, you don't know, right? So at the early stage. So we need a few years to know better, right? So historically, from a discovery to a mine takes 20 years. From a discovery to a mine, okay? Putting all the commodities together, all the examples around the globe. So from exploration, I would say 2 years, 4 years. Then you go for pre-feasibility, 2 more years. Bankable feasibility, depending how easy is your project. If it's too complex in terms of community or metallurgy, engineering. So we put 2 more years plus 2 more years of construction. So we're talking about, if you find something tomorrow, if I drill there, find an amazing intercept, we're talking about 12 years from now, 10, 12 years. Considering the country stable, long-term price, everything. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yeah, mic is coming. Please state your name and affiliation.
Hello, my name is Bruce Curran. I work for a financial services group called Cabell Alexander. I'm just curious that all your exploration here is just based on copper. And can you explain, my ignorance, what's the big deal about copper, that you seem to be really keen on developing copper around the world? Thank you.
Well, we like copper. Well, we see, I don't have any graphs here, but you see the demand for copper, in China, for instance, it's huge, Copper, it's widely used, so, well, you see this presentation now there because of copper, right? So for cables and electricity, energy, so all the wires. So we need copper, and so to grow, to in urban areas, industrialization. So we need copper. So it is a key commodity. Thinking on the growth, people need copper as well as concrete. So start talking about cement, you need steel. So for the steel, you need iron, little dose of nickel, so we can to make it a stainless steel. So a little bit of manganese, and other elements to make it harder, softer. So a lot of engineering behind. And then we have some large copper in deposits in Brazil, and the company, the price is good, and our long-term price, that we consider is also very interesting. So that's why we put in our portfolio the main business. Did I answer it?
Thank you. I have to comment on copper. I several years ago heard Robert Friedland talk about copper, and he called it the green metal. And then he puts on a photograph of a hybrid car. And he says, first year of production, the Toyota hybrid, 200,000 cars, and blah, 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 blah. Now, 2 million cars. Now Germany's making cars. Now everybody's making hybrid cars. He said, let me point out to you that the difference between a regular car and a hybrid car is several hundred. He said 500 pounds more of copper. So you could tell the environmentalists, if we want to go hybrid, we still need copper. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't need to name myself. No. For those of you who are not miners here, I'm sure they'd like to know. I mean, Vale's got lots of money, but what is it? If it's looking for a mine in the Philippines and it's looking for a major mine, okay, what is the minimum size it's looking for? And what will that minimum size require by way of investment to build that mine in today's money?
Okay, in terms of size, there's for those who know, there's a grade tonnage curve. Okay, so it's grade versus tonnage. So the size could vary according to the grade. Okay, so we have a higher grade, we would be okay to a smaller deposit. But our idea is about 500 million tons at 1% copper equivalent. Okay, that's our target. Doesn't mean we cannot develop something at 400 at 0.7 or 400 at 0.6. If you all understand what I'm saying. There's other variables. We have the target of 500 at 1% equivalent, copper equivalent. But if you have a little bit smaller, with a lower grade, but very easy to mine, metallurgical issues, also infrastructure half ready, it's complicated. Mining it's a very interesting business and it's complicated. So, but basically it's 500 at 1%. We would like to go, bigger. So if you think about Tempacan, I don't know. For the capex. Yeah. The capex for 5. Now, look. Take Tempacan as an example. So we're talking about 2 billion tons. What is the grade there? 0.7. So 5.2 billion. I think it's higher. So I mentioned 1/4 of that. So 500 million. You still need to put a mill. Tempacan will have a larger mill with 2 lines. I don't know. So 2 billion at least. Okay. Once you have everything finalized. Okay. From now we're going to construct. So now it's 2 billion. But of course you spend few tens of millions in exploration and feasibility and bankability study.
Fernando, you're saying 500 at 1%. What sort of employment would you have in the construction phase, and then what would you have in production? Do you have any idea on what sort of
No.
Employee levels?
I forgot to say.
What would they range from?
I forgot to say in the beginning, I'm a geologist.
Yeah.
Sorry. If there any mining engineer can help me out. I saw a presentation in Tampakan. How many people they would need to build the mine there? About 10,000? 30,000? I remember there was 1.5 tons of rice per day. So the logistics involved would be amazing to deliver that. So it's
It's sizable, though.
Thousands of people. Thousands of people.
And if you believe that the dollar that's spent or peso that's spent in the mining project goes around at least 6 times, if there are 30,000 employees in the Tampakan project alone, times 6, 240,000. Is my math right? I'm a lawyer. 240,000 jobs will be generated out of that investment. Am I correct? Okay, or something like that. I was speaking about jobs and inflation. You know, inflation's everywhere. And just the other day, I ordered 1,000 peso steak at a restaurant, and I said, "Please put it on my MasterCard." By golly, it fit. Any other questions?
Could you tell us what is the location, and perhaps more significantly, what are the criteria which convince Vale to put the port in Malaysia?
Well, since it's public information, I think I can talk a little bit about that. I don't remember the exact location. Sorry, Paul. I can get it to you. Okay. I don't remember the name and how to pronounce it. So, but the idea is, you bring the iron ore from Brazil, okay, and we had the traders, right? Norwegian company, so I had the traders. You know, Vale has huge, Brazil has huge reserves, and then also Australia, right? So the 3 ugly sisters for China. Is Vale, BHP, and Rio. So we provide 90% of the market, if I'm not wrong, on iron. Okay, but Vale, the buyers pay a bonus, pay a premium for Vale's ore because the grade and the material. Okay, so the only disadvantage for us is the geography. Okay, so then Vale realized that, started building our own vessels, but larger vessels. Okay. And of course, it would be much better to deliver straight to the client. Who they are? Mainly China, but Japan is also buying a lot of iron ore. So China. So we tried. I'm not sure, but I don't get much involved in that. But of course, I hear, in those workshops and so. And the idea, of course, was to build this port because there's no port to accommodate 400,000 tons. Ship, so we need to build that, and no one's going to build for you. Of course, you can make a joint venture so they can guarantee supply for a particular client, one of the major steel makers in China. So we were trying to build in China and have a distribution center there, but it's not easy. China nowadays, they buy the iron ore. The steel makers, they have their own distribution center. And they resell to the smallers, okay, and supply themselves. So, if the spot market, spot market price is higher than the contract, they sell by the spot market price. And when the spot market is below, so they sell by the contract price. So, it was really hard, but we need to put in place. So we had other alternatives where to build that. So when is in the route, from Brazil, And I believe, I don't get involved, but I believe Vale talked to many countries around the region. Got some, at the end of the day is, on the paper, how much it's going to cost, taxes and everything. So, and now maybe also interaction between both countries, the 2 countries involved, Brazil and the country where Vale would build that port. Okay. And then we had to do it, said, okay, China, I don't think, just guessing. Well, we don't think China's going to happen soon. Let's put in. So of course there will be a cost with the double handling, right? But I think the company still, think it's profitable, and so it's okay.
Just a brief follow-up, Fernando, I confess to early involvement in this issue. On behalf of Vale, I would have to do some investigation on the Philippine port site in northern Mindanao. And water depth was very favourable at Philippine. There were some issues there with availability of sufficient area. And I lost track of what happened after that. So I do know that Vale looked at a number of countries around the region. I was therefore a little bit intrigued as to why Malaysia, as opposed to an alternative site in the Philippines or some other neighbouring country. But obviously, thoughts of not your area of expertise in mine.
And believe me, if there was any research, if someone came in here and probably this department, they don't even know that I exist, and that I'm in the country. So it's,
It's a big company. Yes.
Alan Blackley from QED. Fernando, I promised I'd go easy on you today, but nobody's actually put you on the spot yet. So I guess it's left up to me. I'm not too sure it's a good idea to put your clients on the spot, but I'll do so.
Try me.
We all understand that the Philippines, prospectivity-wise for copper and gold, is a great place to be. But from your point of view in exploration, and I am putting you on the spot, what would you see would be your greatest challenges in getting your projects up and running here in the Philippines?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Definitely, that's why we're here. Okay, so you see, Anglo has pulled out. Well, Rod's still around. He's not here today. No. So, but Anglo is pulling out. BGP is not here. Extrata, it is. It's in a Tampakan project. So, and Vale, 2 years ago just come in. So, we think the company didn't think about it, and considered all the the circumstances in the country. Yes, definitely, it's a great place to be. It's a small island, a lot of porphyry, so a lot of potential for copper and gold porphyries. And for me, the key for success in the Philippines, it's community relations. The resources are there, the potential is there. It's how we get access to the ground. So. We can learn, previous histories. You can read about it, talk to people, so you see how did you go wrong? What did you do? Or what you didn't do? Okay, and things had to change. If you have the good old strategy, you're going to have the same good old result, failure, right? So you need be innovative. It doesn't mean like you need to put $2 billion in the community and exploration. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about transparency. I'm talking about early engagement, and then it's hard, but we need to continue. So it's engaging, transparency, communication. That's my view.
I now have one last question for you people to ask. I have run out, so one last question before we have give Fernando a second beer.
My name's Mark Higgins from Steelcore Homes. It's question going back towards Bruce Curran, really, about the copper. We were just talking over coffee this morning about basically 20 years you were saying that it takes from looking at a site to actually mining, and the rising price in copper. Basically, in 20 years, how do you see copper against gold? Because I'm led to believe already countries are starting to reserve copper, and it will be used probably more in the futures as a better guide against gold?
It's a good question. I'm a geologist.
That's why I'm asking you the question.
No, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Think of everybody could think about that. I think the strategy of the company, in getting to copper is also that line. having copper reserves, copper resources rather than gold. Vale is not a gold miner. We have mined gold in the past, but we're not into gold, you know. And other point is important. Gold is much higher investment, you know. It's a much higher investment than gold. You know, copper is much lower. And definitely, if you see the graphs for gold and for copper, you know, in the last 20 years, you know, I just saw the graph this morning on the copper. You know, I put it back on 10 years ago, it was $2,000 a ton, and now today it was what, 10,000, you know, and it's still growing. And gold was 2,000 a pound 6 months ago. Remember, I'm not following gold much, but today it was at 1,500 a ton. So it's a good thought. I mean, I don't have the full answer for you, but it's definitely. You know.
Thank you, Fernando, for coming here today. Very enjoyable. We all should have had stocks in Vale 10 years ago, by the looks of it.
In 2008, definitely.
Yeah. Just Vale being Brazilian and as colourful as they are, with your community work, have you noticed any increase in the samba or the rumba? The samba. Huh? Okay.
Too early.
Anyway. Okay, look, I'd just like to give Fernando a little gift for coming here today. I'll just get that. It's a little drum from Ben Getz, so Vale can keep playing the drum for mining in the Philippines. There you go, mate.
Thank you.
And
Nice. Thank you very much.
my pleasure.
Do we have to play now?
Well,
I hope not.
we'll play it a bit later after a few more drinks. And for Leo, there's a bottle of wine for you in your retirement, so you can.
I get the booze, you get the
You got the booze. And we've got another bottle of wine for somebody out of the fishbowl. And Mr. John Cuthbertson. Mate, Joss will fix you up with that later on. And a Mr. Colin Jenner. So we've got a bottle there for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's luncheon. I hope everything was pleasant and you all had a good time. Vale, very good speak. We'll just adjourn for networking time. I know some of you have to go home, back to the office, sorry. But if you'd like, we'll keep the bar going till about 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, you did get those 2 little drink vouchers, I hope. Well, we only had 2, so if you've used those, it's a cash bar, I'm afraid. Until we can get some more sponsorship and probably take care of that. Anyway, on that note, I'd just like to say that the next luncheon, the next Philippine Mining Luncheon, we've set that for Friday the 3rd of June here at the Shangri-La. We might get a bigger room. But our guest speaker then will be Mr. Ian Holzberger, who is the Executive Chairman of Minerals Exploration and also the President of FCF Minerals. Thank you for your support and attending today, and for all those that are leaving, safe travel. Hope you all hang around and meet some new friends, some new contacts, do some new business, I hope. So that's the conclusion of the Philippine Mining Luncheon today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.